Early that morning, Claire woke up extra early to do her makeup. When she was done, she looked so stunning that Charlie couldn't help but stare. But he asked, a little surprised, "Honey, you usually go to work without makeup. Why get all dressed up today? Is there something important happening?" On weekdays, Claire usually went fresh-faced. She was naturally beautiful and didn't need any makeup, so she rarely wore it. Claire replied seriously, "Today is the Oris Hill Design and Construction Industry Summit. I want you to come with me. Our company just opened, so it's a big deal that the organizer invited us. This is a great chance to make a name for ourselves in the industry. We have to make a good impression and try to get our foot in the door." Charlie asked, a little surprised, "Who's sponsoring it? We just opened. Why would they invite us?" Claire smiled and said, "It's hosted by the Emgrand Group. Miss Doris sent me an invitation." That makes sense. Charlie didn't usually pay attention to the group's business, so he didn't know the Emgrand Group was the one organizing this summit. He figured that Doris must have organized this summit on purpose because his wife's company had just opened. She wanted to help Claire's business get more exposure. Basically, she set up this whole event just so his wife could shine. After Claire finished her makeup, she picked out a suit for Charlie to wear before they left. When they arrived at the venue, the place was already packed. It was full of middle-aged men in expensive suits with beautiful women on their arms. Charlie didn't have many contacts in the design and construction industry, so he didn't know anyone. But Claire had worked in this industry at the Wilson Group, so as soon as she walked in, she ran into a lot of people she knew and stopped to say hello. While Claire was making her rounds and handing out business cards, Charlie suddenly noticed a large group of people swarming around a middle-aged man, all of them fawning over him. Charlie had a sharp eye, and he saw at a glance that the strange middle-aged man had Wendy right there beside him. He couldn't help but ask Claire, "Honey, isn't the Wilson Group bankrupt? What is Wendy doing here?" Claire glanced over and shook her head. "I'm not really sure. I heard from my mom that the Wilson family got another investment a few days ago, and they've started running some of their businesses again." Charlie couldn't help but frown. Invest in the Wilson family? Who in their right mind would do that, he thought. Not to mention his own conflicts with the Wilson family. Everyone from Warnia and Salmon to Christian knew about their situation. Even if someone didn't know them personally, they should have heard by now that the Wilson Group had been blacklisted by the Emgrand Group. Investing in the Wilson family at this point seemed completely insane. Just then, he overheard two people whispering to each other. One of them said, "Hey, that's Curtis Wilson, the chairman of Altura Group." "He's Curtis?" the other person exclaimed. "Isn't he the president of the Southlight Chamber of Commerce?" "Yes, that's him." "How can a guy from Eastcliff be the chairman of the Southlight Chamber of Commerce?" "Well, Altura Group does a lot of business in Southlight, but the main reason is that the Smith family didn't challenge him for the chairman position. Otherwise, the chairman would definitely be a Smith." Charlie couldn't help but frown. It turned out the person Wendy was clinging to was the chairman of the Eastcliff listed group, and his last name was Wilson, too. Were they related? He couldn't help asking Claire, "Honey, do you know if the Wilson family is related to this Curtis Wilson? Is he a distant relative?" "I don't know." "That's weird," Charlie mumbled. Normally, the chairman of a publicly traded company worth $10 billion wouldn't mix with a low-level family like the Wilsons, let alone be seen with Wendy. Is there something else going on here? Claire quickly said, "Don't be ridiculous. That man looks older than my uncle. How could there be anything else going on?" At that moment, Wendy, surrounded by the crowd, was finally feeling the kind of attention she'd always craved. Curtis, who was standing beside her, was not only the chairman of a publicly traded company, but also the chairman of the Southlight Chamber of Commerce. All the business people there were naturally fawning over him, constantly showering him with compliments. When Curtis introduced Wendy to them, he called her his niece and the future heir of the Wilson family. He also mentioned that he had invested in the Wilson Group, and suddenly, everyone started treating her with respect. Even many people who had previously ignored the Wilson family were now offering to collaborate with them, all in an effort to get on Curtis Wilson's good side. With a humble expression, they handed Wendy their business cards and exchanged phone numbers. At this moment, Wendy was experiencing the treatment of the upper class and the powerful, and she was naturally thrilled. Before this, the Wilson family was a pariah in the construction and design industry. But after getting close to Curtis, they had suddenly become the hot new thing everyone wanted to partner with. Business really was a world of vanity, so snobby and realistic. She couldn't help but think of Claire. "Don't you think you're so great, Claire? Didn't you laugh at me when the White family divorced me? Well, now I'm not only close to Curtis Wilson, who's much more capable, but I'm also the director of the Wilson Group. Even Grandma treats me with respect now. What have you got to compare to me?" Thinking about this, she suddenly realized that since Claire had started her own business, she should be at this industry summit too, right? She wondered if she had arrived yet. So she stood on her tiptoes and scanned the crowd, trying to find Claire's face. And there she was. A stunningly beautiful woman caught her eye. It was Claire. And right next to Claire was that good-for-nothing, pathetic loser, Charlie. Wendy gritted her teeth. "Claire," she thought, "today I'm going to make you pay for all the humiliation you put me through. And I'm taking back everything. With interest." Thinking of this, she immediately grabbed Curtis's arm and said, "My cousin and her loser husband are here too. Let's go and say hello to them." Curtis nodded and said dotingly, "Wendy, they humiliated you so much before. Today I'll make them pay for that, twice over." Wendy was so moved, she blurted out, "Curtis, you are so good to me." Curtis smiled slightly. "Of course I am. It's only natural, isn't it?" After speaking, he sneered and said, "Where are your cousin and that pathetic loser? Take me to meet them. I'm going to teach them some manners today, and while I'm at it, I'll have the entire Southlight Chamber of Commerce blacklist them. The woman who bullied Curtis Wilson's girl clearly has another thing coming." Finally seeing her chance for revenge against Claire and Charlie, Wendy excitedly took Curtis's arm and walked toward them. The moment they reached them, Wendy said proudly, "Well, look who it is. The woman who got kicked out of her own family, and her loser husband. Are you two actually qualified to be at a summit like this?" She looked Claire up and down, then snorted. "Claire, your studio just opened, and you don't even have a single employee, do you? Is a shoestring operation like yours really eligible to be here? I think the Grand Group must be blind." Seeing Wendy approach, Charlie asked in a cold voice, "Wendy, did you already forget kneeling and begging for mercy the other day? Or getting slapped by your own grandma? I guess once the sting goes away, you forget the pain." Charlie's words hit a nerve, and Wendy exploded. "Charlie, how dare you be so smug? Do you think I'm the same Wendy I was before? Let me tell you, if you're going to speak to me today, you'll do it on your knees." Charlie scoffed. "In this entire world, the person who can make me kneel hasn't been born yet. I wouldn't kneel even if the Celestial King himself showed up. Do you really think you're up to the task?" Wendy yelled back, "Charlie, do you think you're so great just because you've tricked a few important people? You think you can just walk all over the Wilson family? Let me tell you, the Wilson family isn't what it used to be." Charlie smiled. "Oh? What happened? Did you latch onto someone important?" Wendy pointed to Curtis, her voice dripping with triumph. "This is the chairman of the Altura Group, Mr. Curtis Wilson. He's a member of our Wilson family, and now he's an investor in the Wilson Group. With his support, you're nothing. How dare you be so arrogant? Believe it or not, Claire's studio is about to be completely blacklisted, and you'll have no place left in all of Eris Hill." She then turned her venomous glare on Claire and shouted, "And you, Claire, you think you're so impressive, don't you? You think the M Grand Group can protect you from the Wilson Group. I'm telling you, starting today, the tables have turned. With Chairman Wilson here, the Wilson Group won't just be unblocked, it's going to soar to new heights. And you, Claire? You'll be completely shut out of Oris Hill. You'll have nothing. And when that happens, I'm going to make you kneel before my grandma and me and beg for mercy. Faced with Wendy's arrogant tirade, Claire responded calmly, "Don't worry about me. I may not have your powerful friends, but I'm stronger than you are. You're the one who will kneel and beg me for money, not the other way around." Wendy was stunned that her threats didn't scare Claire at all. Claire's firm attitude just made her even angrier. She snapped, "Claire, you'll be arrogant right up until the end, won't you? Fine. Just you wait and see how Chairman Wilson throws your family out on the street." Charlie looked at Curtis, who was standing beside Wendy, and asked with a smile, "So, from the sound of it, you're going to be the Wilson family's champion." At that moment, Curtis was staring intently at Claire. Wendy was certainly beautiful, but he never expected Claire to be so much more stunning. For a moment, he was completely captivated, lost in thought. He also felt a little annoyed. He had already spent $15 million on Wendy, who was nowhere near as attractive as Claire. $10 million of that was invested in the Wilson Group, and the other $5 million was for Wendy's personal spending. But he never imagined that Charlie, a worthless live-in husband, would be lucky enough to be with a woman like Claire. It was beyond frustrating.